Ladies and gentlemen, this is Championship Wrestling.
Hey folks, it's Myron at the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Today I'm joined by Gary Lamb from Southern Honor Wrestling. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you?
I am great. Big entry into the wrestling business y'all got going on.
We think we've created a good buzz, and we hope to make a big splash, and now all we got to do is deliver, right?
Well, you got everybody talking, so now, yeah, you do got to deliver now. What made you get into this?
You know, been a wrestling fan my whole life. Had some connections with some pretty big guys who want to remain nameless, and they actually approached us about a year and a half ago about doing this.
Uh-huh.
And I have a building, so I have a 25,000 square foot building complete with stage and lighting and sound system that I promote a lot of concerts out of. And so I do a lot of promotion. I own a company called Barbecue and Brews. I put on very large scale festivals, and we do a lot of pop-up concerts out of there. And so the building just seemed right. They approached us about it. We started talking. It didn't work out at that time. The person that we were talking with ended up having to go on the road for a little while, went on tour for a little while, still on tour. And so it just kind of closed down. During that time, we actually had another wrestling organization come along and ask to use our building. And so that worked out really well. GPW, Georgia Premier Wrestling, moved in there, I guess, about 4 months ago. It was running shows out of there. And really seeing them in the building showed me what possibly could be in the building as far as the technology that we had, the sound, the equipment, the lights, the layout of the building, seeing that it wasn't being used the way maybe I would have used it. And so I just began to dream and think about it. And actually the person who had approached me a year and a half ago brought it back up, and the timing was right, especially with them coming off tour this year. And, man, we just decided to launch it. And I don't do things real slow. So, you know, it kind of was like, hey, let's start this in January. Let's start doing the legwork. And then it was like, man, why are we waiting to January? We can do this soon. And we started meeting guys, started creating branding and getting our social media rolling out. And one thing led to another. And our debut show was October 5th.
Yeah. And that's coming right up, man. But branding and social media are so important for anything you're going to try to promote these days. They've got to recognize who you are, and they've got to know where to find you. And y'all have hit it out of the park with that.
Yeah, we're pretty pleased. That's my background. Like I said, my background is promotion. So being able to create a buzz, I ran social media for very large companies for years before I got into doing promoting and myself. So it was just a natural thing for us. It'll be interesting because some of the older school ways of marketing we probably don't excel at. We're not out pounding the pavement. We have put out flyers. We have put out stuff. But really, this is just a big experiment for us. We want to see what kind of buzz we can create strictly through social media.
Well, it's a pretty big buzz you've created because everybody's talking about it. Everybody's asking about it when I go to shows. People are talking about the date. You've got a lot of wrestlers already on the card. You've got your whole card out. You've announced your talent. You've got the guys coming in that are already established wrestlers.
Right.
Everything is going out. I mean, you've done this all in a logical order, and your presentation has been phenomenal. I mean, the posters, your posters are top notch. Okay.
Well, I appreciate
the ones you put on Facebook. I mean, physical posters, or it doesn't really matter anymore. It's just what's displayed for the show event, and they're
right.
Really
and we've
good.
taken those posters and we've put them out all over the area, all over North Georgia. We're pleased. We got hooked up through one of our investors. I got hooked up with a guy named Dylan Freimeyer who wrestles under the name Sunny Days. And we brought Dylan on. Dylan does all the videoing for DDP Yoga. So any of the videos you've seen on the DDP Yoga on Dallas' stuff, Dylan created those. And so we kind of brought Dylan on as a partner, and he has knocked it out of the park visually.
I have to agree.
I gave him the vibe that I wanted. I gave him the color schemes I wanted. I gave him the look that I wanted. He's created stuff and I've promoted it. And it's worked out really well. The great thing about, I joke all the time, my wife jokes and she says, man, you finally found your calling, because everything in wrestling's a work. So everything's a work. I mean, everything's a storyline. Everything is a angle. And we were kind of outsiders I was to the independent wrestling scene. I mean, I attended shows. I watched wrestling my whole life. And I think that's actually benefited. I think it's rubbed some people in the industry the wrong way, and that was never our intention. But it's excelled for us because the people in the community that are attending your shows, they don't give two rips about the politics of independent wrestling. You know what I mean?
No, they don't even know they exist.
They don't even know they exist, and we don't care about them. And I don't mean that in a kind of jerkish way. I just mean we didn't start this for anybody else but us. So if the other group doesn't like us, or this person over there says we're not doing it the right way, or we came into some town that someone was already in, at the end of the day, it's the free market, and, the product will sell itself. And so that's why we did it. It wasn't a matter of burning bridges. It wasn't a matter of being mad at anybody. It wasn't a matter of coming out like we're attacking other promotions. It was just, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it the best we know how to do it. We're going to do it big. We're going to do it with TV in mind from day one. Yeah. And that's what we're creating. And it's a great time to be an independent wrestling fan. I mean, it's a lot of people are calling it the golden age of wrestling. And that's a strong statement. I don't know if that's true, but I definitely think the groundwork is there for some incredible, incredible things when there's only a limited number of guys that can go up north. So that leaves great talent. And there's great independent organizations all over the country. Just for whatever reason, none have caught fire necessarily here in Georgia when it comes to large crowds, production, putting on the shows that we're envisioning. Now, can we do that? I don't know, but we're all in, no pun intended.
Well,
I mean, we're definitely putting everything we have on the line because we believe we can pull this off.
That's all in was a phrase I actually had in my notes, and it's about, that time for that was super relevant. And I think it's a great concept that you have gone all into this, and you are working 100% with this. You haven't set it up, just to put your toe in the water. Y'all went ahead and jumped in, and you're getting the whole experience. And I just can't wait to see. I mean, I can't make the first show, but I'm going to be at whatever next show I can get to.
They'll be the first. Through the end of the year, they'll be the first Friday of every month. Starting in next year, we don't know if we're going to keep the first Friday or we're going to keep the first Saturday. We're definitely, from a selfish standpoint, I like Friday. It leaves the rest of my weekend open. But if we feel Saturday night would serve us better, then we'll move it to the first Saturday of the month. We have a lot of flexibility because, again, I own the building. So that eliminates a lot of overhead. We're not having to set up and tear down. The equipment, the sound, the lights, the projection, the screens, the ramps, the entranceways, everything is permanently set up. And so that's a huge advantage that we have that allows us to be able to focus on putting on a high quality show.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, because you can work your kinks out without having to replace everything every week or every show.
Yeah. We definitely don't take that for granted. I mean, we're not having to set up in a gym. We're not having to set up in a bingo hall. And that's part of wrestling lure. It is what it is. But we're definitely glad that we're in an old grocery store that is permanently set up.
Yeah. Oh, it's an old grocery store, man. There are so many of those around here in the north. We're on the northeast side of town. We're up in Gwinnett County.
Okay. Yeah, I'm from Dacula. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I live in Sugar Hill. Nick lives it's Hamilton Mill, but it's practically Dacula where he lives at.
Well, yeah, Hamilton. I say Dacula, but Hamilton Mill is actually where I grew up at.
It's a great area, and nobody runs in Gwinnett. I've never understood that.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't know that if people think that they have a stereotype in their mind. I don't know if they think independent wrestling is better in a blue collar town, and they don't classify Gwinnett as a blue collar town. Mm. I don't know what the story is behind that. That's not been our experience. I mean, Mucha Lucha runs out there and draws 1,000 people a show.
Yeah, but you can't read their ads. I mean, I can't read their ads.
Exactly. I understand.
I mean, they don't typically market at your average people. I mean, your normal everyday your wrestling crowds that show up. They market at that Spanish community, and they just blow it out of the water there.
Right.
And it's a very loyal wrestling crowd.
Yeah.
You focused on it being a family show. I saw that you've posted that several times. But
you know,
you
I
put
don't
yourself
know
in a family location.
We did, and you know, the family show thing. I think that's a weird thing. So let me back up there. We definitely think we're going to run a PG, maybe slightly into PG-13 show.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to push the envelope. We're going to do some things that probably don't happen in many independent shows around here. But because we had said that, so many wrestling promotions were telling everyone that we were not going to be family friendly at all. And we think we are. I mean, again, we live in a different day and time. I mean, you know, kids nowadays that are in elementary school are watching PG-13 movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is it going to be a G-rated, good old boy, Bubba out there in the ring type show? No, that's not what we're planning on doing. But we're not going to. It's funny. I've been watching a lot of old ECW shows. I mean, we're definitely not looking to push the envelope in some of the vulgarity aspect that they were. But so we're going to push the envelope. It's going to be in a PG-13 show. But again, in the day and time that we live in, that constitutes family friendly in my book. You know what I mean?
Well, pretty much. And you've got it. I mean, you look what the WE turns out all the time, and everybody's like, well, it's family friendly and it's PG and all this. They're making more money than they ever have before.
Right. You can't get away from kids.
Yes.
One of the things that kind of excited me about this is I grew up with a dad who was very entrepreneurial. I've never had a 9-to-5 job in my life. I've always owned my own business. And a lot of that has to do with when I was in high school, I was really into baseball cards and comic books, and I was looking for a job, and my dad said, why don't we open a baseball card shop and a comic book store? So that was my first job ever, was owning my own business. And so my son is really into wrestling. So I was kind of like, you know what? Why don't we just start our own wrestling promotion? He can be part of it.
Uh-huh.
I can teach him about how to start business. I can teach him about promoting. You know, that's our family business. So I can pass that down to him. So obviously, if I'm doing it, one of the reasons of mine is I want my family to be part of it. Obviously, it's going to be family focused. But, you know, don't mistake family friendly as a G-rated show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It's like, you know, E.T.,
right,
the movie was going to be G-rated, and they didn't want that because they didn't think anybody'd pay to see it. So they threw the word shit in there to get it the PG rating, and all of a sudden it was perfect. And it was a giant classic.
And we live in a day and time that if a kid hears – I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying it's the day and time we live in. If a kid hears the word shit, they're not losing their minds. You know what I mean?
No.
And so other promotions were definitely using that against us, because it was the number one question we were getting from people on social media was, hey, am I not allowed to bring my kids? Can I not bring my children? I heard this is going to be not family friendly. So we've just kind of we had already created our posters by then, so we couldn't emphasize it. So I was like, we're just going to emphasize it on our social media. Listen, we are family friendly. Matter of fact, kids today are free. Mm-hmm. You know, we've already talked to all of our athletes. We want them going around. The kids are going to get to meet them. But no, the independent wrestling scene can definitely be petty, and there's definitely, you know, it's a funny thing. This sounds really weird, but I've also pastored a church for the last 15 years, and not your typical church, as you can imagine. And I used to always say, there's no one more petty than church folks. But man, the independent wrestling scene, boy, they can give the church folks a run for their money on tradition and. You know, everybody thought we threw the promotion that was in our building out of our building, and we were doing things wrong. And like, none of that was simply true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't throw anybody out of our building. We actually asked them to stay. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of times where people have these preconceived notions, and that hurts them. And that hurts their marketing, or they think they have to be a certain way. And I know there's a lot of people who have perfected the way they are in their promotion, how it works. But I think there's always people out there that are running shows that are doing what they're doing because they think that's what they're supposed to do. Right. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And I know we don't know each other well, so I want you to know my heart. My heart doesn't mean to sound as asshole-ish as it's about to sound. But as I look around at the independent scene, everybody tells me how you're supposed to do it. But I just got to be honest, I'm not impressed with how it's being done. To show up at an independent show when there's 50 people there, if that's how everyone's doing it, I don't want to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's try something new. Let's try something different. Let's push some envelopes. Let's bring in some high production. Let's bring in some great athletes and see if we can get that show up to where it's consistently running 3, 4, maybe even 500 people.
Mm-hmm.
If you always do what you've been doing, you always get what you've been getting. And again, like, I'm just not personally blown away with that doesn't mean there's not some great promotions here, but overall the scene, I'm not totally impressed. I didn't start this to run 50 people. Let me say that. Oh. And so, I don't want to know what everyone else has been doing. I think sometimes you go into a business with fresh eyes and some fresh ideas, and you can change up a scene.
Oh, definitely. I gotta agree with you on that. You've got a lot going right now where you're looking at this like a business. And I have seen some of the promotions that we go to on a regular basis where when they started running it like a business, everything got better.
Right.
The crowds got better. The matches got better. More people started showing up. More people got passionate. Because not everybody is there week to week just being a wrestling fan. You got to target your market at other people. Your hardcore fans are going to come anyway. But sometimes you have to fill the seats with other people to make money.
And we've said that all along. We feel like there's a hardcore independent wrestling group here. They're going to come to no matter what. But you'll go broke you've got to go after new crowds. We want to make our show the place to be in Canton on Friday nights, even if you're not a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We want to create an environment where people are like, man, something's going on over there. And I think that's the way it was back in the old ECW days. I mean, there was people who weren't even wrestling fans who just went because, damn, it was the place to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a buzz. People were talking about it. They made you want to go to see it.
Yeah. And so I think we can do that. I think we've got some cool surprises that are non-wrestling related at our first show that are going to get people talking. We've got some cool surprises that we're working on that are going to blow away some of the traditional wrestling fans if they're going to think it's cool. We're trying to just create a place to be on the first Friday of the month here in Canton. Mm-hmm. And if we're only going to reach wrestling fans, we're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
So you got to go, or if we're only going to reach current wrestling fans, I think that's huge. There's a lot of people like me who grew up on wrestling, got married, had kids, and just kind of quit watching wrestling. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm the same guy. I'm the exact same guy. I lived here in Gwinnett, in the Atlanta area. I've been here for 20 years. It was about 3 years ago before I found out there was independent wrestling.
Right.
I didn't know they were still running shows around. And once I found out, it was like just a watershed. All of a sudden, there's shows everywhere, and I'd been missing out on it this whole time. And there's a lot of people in my demographic, I think, would love to get to go see some wrestling again like we used to 20 years ago.
I was walking down the street the other day, and one of our city councilmen, who's a very successful suit and tie, CPA, white-collar guy, stopped me in the street and said, did I see you're starting wrestling? And I was hesitant at first. I was kind of like, is he fixing just to laugh at me or whatever? You know what I mean? And I said, yeah. I said, we're starting a wrestling promotion. I said, I think it'd be fun. He said, I'm there at the first show, man. He goes, I grew up loving wrestling. He goes, I ain't been to a show in 15 years. Me and my kids will be there. I mean, it just brought back that factor to him that, man, that used to be. But here's the deal. You got to deliver. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's our intention, is to deliver. Mm-hmm. And just some of the connections we have. I mean, we're just blessed to have some connections with some large names that we're hoping. It's a weird thing. We don't want to cash in everything on the first show. So
yeah,
but you're going to see some cool surprises over the next year. Some guys you never thought you'd see showing up at independent shows, showing up. Some of the connections that we have, some of the influences that we have. We're pretty excited about it. We keep calling them our investors on our website. We've got some investors that are some pretty big names, and I think when the time comes to bring them out, it's just going to make us look that much more legit to be like, wow, man, they're associated with those guys. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
It's going to be a fun time, and that's just kind of luck being at the right place at the right time. And being able to meet some guys over the years that just develop some friendships with.
Mm-hmm. I see you've got Raven booked on your first card.
We do have Raven. We do. We have Raven at the first card. We met, again, one of our investors told us we ought to look at Raven. Raven's been working out with Dallas, trying to get his body back healed, and he's local. Raven is one of those guys that if you're my age, I'm 42, and you left wrestling for a little while, he was a huge influence, man. 20 years ago, Raven was one of my favorites. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And so he still has that name value. We have Scott Hall booked for the December show. So we've got some pretty good we're excited about some of the things. But that's a balancing act, too, because here's the deal. We don't want to build our promotion on big names. I think that they're good at bringing a group out. I think they're good at giving you a little bit of a cred, for lack of a better word. But we need to develop our own stars, too. You know, we need to develop our own storylines. I think that's something that's sorely lacking in independent wrestling is them developing their own stars, them developing their own storylines. And everybody's like, how do you do that with a show once a month? But that's the amazing thing of social media.
Exactly.
You can carry on storylines throughout the thing. So, like, from our first show, October 5th, we're going full TV production that night. We're going to have an entire production crew there, and we're going to release the entire card on Facebook as a TV show in 30-minute shows over the next 4 weeks leading up to the next show. So over that month in between shows, you're going to get to see every match. If you weren't at the show, you're going to get to see backstage interviews. You're going to get to see the angles that we're producing and creating. And we're anxious to see how that goes over with the fans.
That's pretty brilliant because, you know, the WWE had a really big success with that, I can't say it right, mixed match challenge. If I say it fast, I get the words wrong.
Yes.
But they had huge viewership on those shows.
Right.
And
so
it's a new medium.
And it's a free medium.
Yes, exactly.
Like social media is free. Mm-hmm. It just takes the time to get out there and work it, get out there and push it, get out there and do your thing. And again, I'm in front of my computer all day, so pushing it has been easy. Lucky for us, we do Us Against the World really well, and we've created – the other promotions have been so upset about us. It's done a really good job of us creating Us Against the World, which has just got our fan base almost ravenish. You know what I mean? I mean, they're excited. They're excited to be part of something for the first show. You know, they're excited to think something's going to be done in a high-quality way. And again, man, it was a perfect timing for us with the buzz of All In. That's going to get your hardcore independent fans even more excited. Yeah. You know, we were lucky that GPW was in our building for a while, so people know that building from wrestling. We had allowed QT Marshall to do his Dusty Rhodes Scholarship show at our building. Yeah. So, you know, before All In happens, Cody Rhodes, the biggest name in independent wrestling, is in our building.
That's phenomenal.
And so it just – you ever been part of something where all the pieces just fall into place? And that's happening here.
Yeah. That's kind of way the podcast has worked out for us. We were just two guys sitting in a basement 2 years ago. And now we've turned it into something that is a passionate thing for us to do, create, and to go to shows and be around wrestling and talk to wrestling people. It's just a great experience. And it was the right time at the right, the right everything for us to get into this, and it's worked out great. But I mean, you've put a lot of legwork into this besides just the right time and all that. You've got a great roster booked already.
We do, and Dylan has really handled that for us. I made it very clear to him that I wanted to show up at a show and it feel like I'm at a wrestling show. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but I don't want to show up at a show and see guys in the ring that look like me. I want to feel like I'm watching. I want to feel like I'm, and again, nothing taken away. This is just what we had a vision for. I wanted to bring in phenomenal wrestlers and give them the opportunity to use their skills along with my skills, which is being able to brand them and create stories around them and see if we could create magic together. You know what I mean?
I get exactly what you're saying. I mean,
I remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to go on and on about the talent on the roster.
Oh, well, go ahead.
I mean, most of these guys I either know or I've seen enough times that I just recognize them. Alan Angels is phenomenal. Ashton Starr is a fan favorite and a great entertainer. O'Shea Edwards is a hell of a guy. AC Mack is one of the best talkers around. He's always exciting. So you've got a lot of guys in here, man. And the Lynch Mob, those guys are big deals.
The Lynch Mob was my only criteria to Dylan. I said, listen, I saw these guys wrestle one time and I want them on my show.
Yeah.
And those guys are a perfect example. The Lynch Mob, they want to be part of a high production show. They want to be part of something special. And so they were excited to be part of it. Ashton Starr was basically, I was with my 11-year-old daughter one time at a wrestling show, and Ashton Starr came out, and she had one criteria when I started talking about this. She said, I want that Ashton Starr guy there. And I said, well, then I guess we have no choice but to bring him in. And, and we're going to allow these guys to do what they do. It's like we did a video shoot with a lot of them. I'm sure you've seen the videos.
Yeah.
And Ashton was there, and I'm kind of directing, and I'm like, hey, I need you to be more flamboyant. I need you to be you. And he was taken back because so many promotions, especially in North Georgia, have wanted him to tone who he is down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want you to tone anything down, man. I want you to be over the top you, because I think what it's going to do is just get this crowd rowdy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I said, so don't back down. You know what I mean? We're excited about Devin Driscoll, one of our investors. He said, you've got to bring this guy in. So we're bringing him in from Tennessee. I know Dylan's part of our team, but Sunny Days is a phenomenal. He's done a great job of creating a great character with Sunny Days with his video skills and all that. We're excited about Kevin Ryan. I mean, this kid is doing some amazing things to be 19 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and O'Shea is just a star.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just convinced he's a star. And so we're excited about it. And we're more excited. I can't reveal them yet, but wait till you see the lineup for the second show.
Oh, wow.
So we the second show takes a whole nother level from the first show. The guys we've got booked for November. I mean, this is kind of, let's get through this. Let's get our feet wet. Let's crown our champion. And then November, we've got some heavy hitters coming in that we are super excited about that are going to be regulars on our roster.
Oh, wow. Wow. If it gets any better than what it's at, man, I can't even imagine. That's
yeah,
phenomenal. You're
going to be excited. I need to get you guys out. You guys need to do a live podcast from one of the shows.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you. I would love to do that.
That'd be awesome. Set you guys up, and man, that'd be a cool thing to do.
Oh, cool. That's a great, man. I thank you for the invitation. We will definitely get out and do that. And probably the way it works with my schedule, if it's the first Friday of the month, next month I should be off for it. My schedule at work is crazy. I work 9 to 9, so it's when I'm
those real jobs always get in the way, don't they?
Yeah. It's really holding me back on the podcast, but I'm just not making enough money on the podcast to quit it.
I understand. Yeah. I understand. When I went to my wife and I said, "Hey," my wife's least favorite words are, "Hey, I got an idea." And so she looked at me. She said, I mean, that's how I provide for our families, promoting and just doing a biz. But she said, listen, I need you to understand something. I support whatever you do, and I love you, but we don't have time for another hobby. She said, so make money at it or let's not do it. And so we've set it up to make money at it. And I would put our lineup against any show I've seen in the area.
Oh, definitely. It's an all-star lineup. And you've got the word out all over. Okay? When you can get it on social media and people on my side of town pick up on what you're doing over on your side of town, that's great.
That's awesome. I like to hear that.
TV, you're not going to get on TV or radio much anymore with wrestling.
No.
So social media is great advertising.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that people are hearing it. we had a friend down at a Comic Con, and he said, "Man, people were talking about, or whatever it is, Dragon Con or whatever it's called they have down there in Atlanta on Labor Day." And he said, "Man, at the show, people were talking about your show." And I said, "Good, I like to hear that." Mm-hmm. I said, "We got a lot of investment, but again, people can talk all day long. At the end of the day, they got to show up." And we're happy with our pre-sale of our tickets. We're well over 100 tickets already sold for the show, which at most independent wrestling shows, the ticket sales happen at the door.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So we're really pleased with our online sales.
I love that.
We think
I can't tell you how much I love online sales for shows like this.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a teaching process because, again, the shows in this area don't do it. So we've had to teach people. But that's okay. Teaching the fan base to do stuff is okay. I mean, but we just didn't – we wanted to at least have some type of idea of what was going to be there. We didn't want to just show up the day of and have sold nothing, and all of a sudden there's 500 people there and we got 200 chairs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, and you can get your payroll for your wrestlers out of the way already when you pre-sell. It's just so much easier because, like, I'm digging around in an ATM every time we're on a trip to a show.
Right.
It's like, hey, you got money, you got cash, and then it's like, well, nobody has cash, so then somebody's got to stop and go to an ATM. And when you can buy your tickets ahead and just show up with enough money to buy yourself a hot dog and a Coke, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and we'll actually take cards at our concession stand. I don't ever have cash, so I just everything that we do, I look through my own eyes. When we're booking a match, I'm like, man, is this a match I would want to see? Mm-hmm. When it's branding, I'm like, is that something I want to see? And then when it comes to spending, like, I don't ever have cash, So it's like we live in a cashless society more and more. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're going to be equipped. And then just happens to be where our building is. There's no ATM anywhere around here, Mm-hmm. And so you have to get in your car and drive a mile up the road. And we're just not going to do that to people already in an area they don't know. They don't really know their way around. So come to the door and we've got you covered and we've got you handled. And we're excited about it.
That's impressive, man. That infrastructure for just that, having your show ready with the ability to take cards, is something I think a lot of people are missing out on because people spend more money when it's not in their hand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If I have $20 in my pocket and I go to a show, I might spend the $20. If I'm not paying attention and I'm swiping my card, there's no telling what I'll end up spending.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so in the day and time that we live in, when you can do that stuff through your computer or your phone, I don't understand why places wouldn't do it, And I'm the same way as you. The very first time I ever went to an independent show, I had to leave the show, drive 3 miles down the road, find an ATM machine, Mm-hmm. It was an ATM machine at some gas station, so it was like a $5 service charge. I was irritated by the time I got back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so easy.
Yeah. I think give the fans what they want, and they'll and I think the fans, especially in North Georgia, mm-hmm. they're hungry for something different. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and they want to be part. Everybody wants to be part of something from day one. So I think that's the exciting thing of a new promotion starting mm-hmm. is if it grew into something big one day. To say, man, you were there in the beginning. To say, man, they were on my podcast before they ever had their first show. That's a cool thing, and we get that.
Yeah,
and you only get one first, so we're trying to capitalize on that right now because once the first show's over, the first show's over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's good. That's your big thing, man. You're gonna try to get out there and just kill it with a great first impression too.
We're coming out of the gate swinging. I mean, mm-hmm. we've got big, huge screens in our building. So when the countdown timer hits 0, the mm-hmm. first match starts, and we're not even going to welcome the people. We'll welcome after the first match, but we're sending AC Mack out for the first match. Him and Jordan Kingsley. Let them light it up from the first match. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I think All In did a great job with that. They, mm-hmm. They didn't put the Cody and Nick match at the end. They put it right there in the middle to keep the crowd going the whole time.
Yeah. Oh, and I've been watching it. I haven't got to see it all the way through yet, but I've watched half of it, and it was just electric what they did with that show.
It was a blast. It was, they did a phenomenal job. And I thought there was a little bit of something for everyone there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I know a lot of people got frustrated with the whole Joey Ryan spot. And
I loved
it. You loved it?
I loved it, but I grew up in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. I love Joey Ryan. I would love. I don't even know that they would, but I would love to put Paul Lee and Ryan in a match together. I think that'd just be the funniest, coolest match ever.
Now that's some booking right there, man.
Yeah, I just think it would be fun. Now here's the deal: do I want to build a promotion around Ryan? Absolutely not. Did they build a show around Ryan? It was senseless. The crowd went crazy. It was fun. I personally liked it. Dylan, my partner, he hated it. You know what I mean? So I definitely, I was listening to Jim Cornette today. Raising hell about it.
I listened to the same episode. I never miss a Cornette. Because he knows about wrestling. I don't know if his views are still 100% relevant today on everything, but he knows how to make a wrestling show work.
Right.
And I love his experiences and the stories. But yeah, he was hot about Joey Ryan on there.
Yeah, he was. I just took it for what it was. My wife is not a wrestling fan, so I showed it to her because I just wanted to get a good gauge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But on the other side, my wife's also from Detroit, so it takes a lot to shock her. And she looked at me. She's like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, those are ghost penises."
Yep.
And she's like, "What is a ghost?" She just walked down the room. She goes, "I can't even with you right now." But then she turned back around and she goes, "You're going to try to book him one day, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, probably." She said, "I figured."
Now, is she going to come to the shows?
My wife travels for work, so when she's not traveling, she'll be there. The first show, she's in Vegas traveling, and
we have an agreement at our
she'll
house
be there.
That I don't ask and she doesn't go.
Well, let me rephrase that. If she would not go to a show with me, the fact that this is my thing, she will come and be supportive the first time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The GPW was in our building, and they asked me to be part of the show one time. And she looked at me and she said, "I love you." And she goes, "I am proud of everything you do. And you support our family, and you do so." She goes, "This is the first time I've ever been embarrassed, and I'm not sharing it on Facebook that you're doing it." I said, "Okay, I understand."
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And so wrestling is definitely not her thing. She says wrestling and comic books, that's your inner nerd. And I said, well, it is what it is.
My buddy Nick, who started the whole podcast, he used to own a comic store at one time, and he is huge. And when we do the video shows from his office, he's got all his, the books up on the wall. It's awesome. Now, I don't collect them. I used to, but I read them, and I read the online ones sometimes, and I watch all the movies, and I watch all the shows.
Yeah, I watch the movie. Pretty out of the comic book scene now, but I mean, I somewhat keep up with it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, it's also different. I mean, it's bad and good, and then, you can't tell who's your hero anymore because everything has changed. But it's good. I mean, it's fun to still. We're at an age where we've got wrestling on TV or the computer 24/7. We can watch comic book movies 24/7, or watch cartoons, or all the stuff I wanted to do as a kid. It's fully available in the media, and media is changing, and putting your promotion out there where you're doing it, where you want to get it up on Facebook as a show to use to promote your next shows is brilliant.
Yeah. And it's so easy. I mean, like I'm not trying to be mean. It's easy and it's free. Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't you do it other than it's a hobby or it's laziness? You know what I mean? And so for us, it's not, again, like I said earlier, it's not a hobby. It's something that we want to be successful at. We've got some big dreams. I mean, WrestleMania will be here in 2 years, and we've got some big dreams that we want to do that weekend. So we got 2 years to build it up to be able to pull off some of that stuff on that weekend.
That's phenomenal, because there's always a ton of shows. in town
Right.
when WrestleMania shows, and they all have huge crowds, and everybody's super excited. That's like the best.
They're going to bring
time.
100,000 wrestling fans into the state. They're going to get here Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you start doing stuff for them?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. That's brilliant.
So I definitely want to have you out to one of the shows. You all let me know whenever, and I'll make sure your name's in the list where you can get in anytime.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm really looking forward to it. That's the thing. I was upset when I was not able to make it to this one, but I'd already worked my schedule around. I can only do so much about getting off in 1 year. I can trade this day, I can trade that, but I take care of the kids and family stuff, and if I got a little bit extra, I go to wrestling.
No, I understand.
But taking vacation days for wrestling.
That's good priority. Now, you tell me, you've been around to shows all over the state. What is your personal favorite promotion is in the state?
Southern Fried.
Everybody's. I haven't been to one of their shows yet, but, man, they have a following.
Yes. They did, the owner, Charles Anschutz, passed away, and he left it in the hands of David Manders, who has turned out to be phenomenal at keeping it going and making it better. And they've got one of the best bookers with Todd Sexton. And it's been a great draw. And, people were worried if something was going to happen after Charles passed, but Charles was a hobbyist. He did it for fun. And David's doing it like a business, and it's been gangbusters. So
literally every single person that I've asked that's in the independent wrestling scene in Georgia that I've asked that question, Southern Fried has been the answer every single time.
Yeah.
I've got to get to one of their shows.
Well, I'll be at the one. Well, I'll be late for the one this Saturday, the 15th in Monroe, and it looks like a pretty decent card. But yeah, if you come on out, man, I'll be there before the show's over.
Yeah, I'll definitely get out. We're going on family vacation this weekend. The kids are out of school, but yeah, I definitely want to get up to one of the shows for sure.
The day after your show is one of their very big bi-yearly shows, Crossroads.
Oh, okay.
6th. So yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Well, if I don't see you at one of your shows first, I'll see you at one of theirs.
Man, I look forward to it.
Been a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to working with you in the future, and good luck. Now, hold on, we got to get the props in there. I forgot. Where can we get tickets?
They can get tickets at southernhonorwrestling.com.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take you right to the ticket agent. You can get them right there and order them. The tickets are $10. They can also get tickets at the building. The show is in Canton, Georgia, at 261 Marietta Road. They can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Honor Wrestling. We're all over social media, man, and we're excited about it. And for everybody out there that's listening, man, we appreciate everybody spreading the word.
Cool. And that's awesome, man. Look these guys up. Get to the show. Tell me what you think. I'll be there as soon as I can. But I really appreciate you coming on today, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Well, you have a great day, and I'll be seeing you at the show.
You too, buddy. Thank you so much.
No problem.